How do Americans overall these days view Israel, and what was the response to America's involvement in the war with Iran? Take a look at this clip over here. It's from a debate that happened at the Turning Point USA Student Action Summit recently, and it's a debate between Josh Hammer and Dave Smith. So we'll watch this clip together and then talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
Good news is that while no one should be afraid of debate, and this debate is a nice thing here, the MAGA movement is actually quite unified. Believe it or not, all the talk to the contrary when it comes to these issues. An overwhelming majority of self-identified MAGA Republicans support close U.S.-Israel relations. According to a CBS News poll, moreover, after the recent Operation Midnight Hammer B-2 bombers in Iran, 94% of self-identified MAGA Republicans supported President Trump's dropping those B-2 bombs on Fort Natanz and the other Iranian facilities there. This is a wildly popular policy there. What did Dave Smith say about this? He re-upped his now years-long crusade to call for Donald Trump's impeachment. Y'all probably don't know that about Dave Smith, do you? He's now called for Donald Trump to be impeached multiple times. But Dave, look, I don't like when people misquote me either. You probably don't like when people misquote you. So I actually have a little bit of a highlight reel here of Dave Smith's tweets over the years. Dave Smith, March 19th, 2024. Donald Trump is responsible for around 500,000 deaths in Yemen, and between the weapons to Ukraine and the Abraham Accords Jerusalem embassy, he is at least partially responsible for the two worst humanitarian crises in the world. He's a war criminal who should spend his life in prison. He is calling Donald Trump a war criminal who should spend his life in prison. You should be livid at that. I am livid at that as a Trump supporter. Donald Trump, Dave Smith, June 16, 2025. Trump allegedly had full prior knowledge of Israel's attacks and gave it his blessing while pretending to be negotiating with the Iranians as a cover. If this is true, Trump is the most impotent bitch of a leader imaginable. He's calling our president, the greatest president in my lifetime, an impotent bitch. Are you kidding me? June 21st, 2025, Donald Trump has now launched an illegal war of aggression against Iran. The risk of an absolute catastrophe is very high and the benefits are non-existent. Dave Smith, June 21st. Dead wrong. This notion that World War III would start, not a single American casualty. We should be celebrating that. Donald Trump fulfilled multiple campaign promises. The escalator speech in 2015 at Trump Tower, he literally said, I'm not going to let Iran get a nuclear weapon. And guess what? He said, I oppose a neoconservative foreign policy. He did both of those things with Iran. He deprived the Iranian regime of nuclear weapon while not losing a single American sailor, soldier, or Marine while depriving them of nuclear weapons. And finally, Charlie, I'll end on this. Dave Smith, July 8th, 2025. In the last month, Donald Trump has launched a war of aggression on behalf of a foreign government, exploded the debt, announced that he's continuing the Biden policy of arming Ukraine, and covered up a giant child rape operation. So according to my interlocutor, Donald Trump is not just engaging in wars on behalf of a foreign government, he is also covering up the world's giant pedophilic child sex trafficking ring, allegedly, I presume, on behalf of a foreign government as well. So I'm disgusted, frankly, that this man is on stage, but I'll end it at that.
Okay, well, got it. So,
a lot there. First of all, look, if you support what Israel's doing in Gaza right now, I would just, my advice to you guys is just know that you never have a leg to stand on claiming to be pro-life for the rest of your life. Just saying that. If you... Oh, so it's okay to support policy.
Let's not boo our speaker,
It's okay to support a policy that is killing babies. All of a sudden, killing babies is negotiable. All right, fine. I'm just reading the room.
So, Dave, why don't you...
No, I'm not talking about for Hamas.
Hold on, back up, Dave.
I just let you go on this whole long thing.
I know, I'm going to actually help you out here, Dave, okay? What I'm doing is I want you to tell the audience what's going on in Gaza, because some people in the audience don't know what's going on. So don't assume they know, and let's not get back...
Oh, okay, well, I did assume that most people know that lots of babies are being killed in Gaza, but maybe I shouldn't have assumed that.
Don't be sarcastic about it, Dave. Instead, I mean this, because
no, I meant that literally. I did assume that.
Loop where they're on social media all the time, okay? So walk through numbers, walk through what animates you to say something like...
Yeah, the truth of the matter is that although it seems sometimes on the surface like the right is sort of divided on the issue of Israel, and in many ways it is, when it comes to the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities, this was something that was a widely popular thing, especially amongst conservatives, that Iran needed to be dealt with. Iran was something that posed a threat not only to Israel, but to the United States, to many countries in the West as well. and needed to be dealt with. I think a lot of people were concerned that there was going to be U.S. boots on the ground and long extended wars. People were very cautious and very nervous about that sort of involvement, and that's certainly understandable given that Iraq, Afghanistan, these are things that have dragged down, costed tons of money, cost tons of lives, and something that obviously there's an apprehension about getting too involved in. But after looking back on it, that the amount of involvement that was necessary, you had these B-2 bombers that went in, did what they had to do, and then went back home, and then it was basically over. I think many people were very much looking back and saying, "Oh, you know what? I can get behind that. I'm behind the idea of Iran not being a nuclear threat." Now, one of the things that's interesting to me is that beyond the way that Iran is perceived amongst conservatives, is that, believe it or not, Israel, even within the U.S. as a whole, across the political spectrum, Israel still remains a pretty popular in support by citizens of the United States. It's interesting because sometimes the loud masses get out there and the protests and the screaming, and you think like everyone's against you. But a poll done by the Council for a Secure America did a poll in July of 2025, so very recently, shows that most Americans, they view Israel, the U.S.-Israel relationship, as something that is a strategic priority. At least they may not be in love with Israel per se, but they believe that the relationship is a strategic priority and believe that it enhances regional stability and U.S. national security. So that's a reason to be in support of Israel. Doesn't mean you agree with everything Israel does and you love the government and that doesn't mean anything, but that it's worthwhile that the United States be involved with Israel for if nothing else, for a strategic priority. That is something that is across the board. But there was a Harvard-Harris poll that was done in May, and that showed that still 77% of Americans support Israel over Hamas in Gaza, including strong majorities across both parties. You had 81% of Republicans, you had 72% of Democrats, and 77% of independents. So, long story short, the loud voices that are out there that are chanting "globalize the Intifada" and all sorts of other, from the river to the sea, and every other thing that is expressed in these protests, is something that, by and large, it seems with the American people as a whole, whatever political party you belong to, is still very much in the minority. The support stands with Israel, despite how loud the opposition can be. And I hope that trend continues and that it grows. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.